Welcome to Spiritual Sanctuary, Wisdom for the Divine Feminine. I'm your host, Bertina, and I'm so grateful that you're here. This is a space created for slowing down, for remembering who you are beneath the noise, and for reconnecting with the sacred wisdom that already lives within you. Before we begin, I want to offer a heartfelt thanks to our sponsor, Cosmic Connections. Their support for this podcast and this community is wonderful. You can receive 10% off your online purchase at yourcosmicconnections.com with the code Bertina Podcast 10. Yourcosmicconnections.com, Bertina, Bertena, Podcast 10. It's a beautiful way to support both your spiritual practice and the sanctuary, as well as a small business that I love so much. Now, wherever you are, maybe you're walking or resting or driving or just simply breathing, I invite you to gently step into the sanctuary with me. Let your shoulders soften, let your breath deepen, and there's nothing that you need to become or to be fixed. You've arrived at a sacred space. So let's begin. Hello, everyone. Today on the Spiritual Sanctuary, we have Leetta here. She is a writer and she is one of my close friends. I absolutely love her. I got to know her a couple years ago. I don't even
Mhm.
remember how. Do you remember how we met?
No, I don't.
It was on, I know on Facebook, but I don't
Yeah.
remember the connection. We had a lot of interests the same, I
Hmm.
think. Yeah, that was just it. But
Yeah.
and if you all know me, you know I don't make friends very well, so that tells you a lot about her. So what I've done is I've asked her to come talk to us a little bit about her writing. She is from Appalachia, and that's where I'm from as well. But she has the wisdom and knowledge that I missed out as I moved from the actual mountains into Lexington and Winchester, which Winchester's not a big place, but they tend to think that they're not Appalachia.
Mm,
And then
very
keep on.
true.
Yeah, I know it's so funny. But I asked her to come here because she writes for Substack. She's just a writer. Her
Mhm.
voice, her stories are just wonderful. On Substack, she has two different blogs, web pages, whatever we want to
Hmm.
call it. And that's something
Yeah.
I'm going to have her talk about too. Is a little bit more about Substack because Substack is so new to everyone. But
Hmm.
she has the Leetta, which she is also a Gen Xer like me. So she cracks me up when I wake up in
Hmm.
the morning and I get her articles. I'm like, oh my God, how did we not know each other? I mean, like, it's like we did know each other because everything
Yeah.
is so much. And then she has the Granny Grimoire 13.
Hmm.
And that is a lot about old world Appalachia and magic.
Yeah.
So Leetta, I'm just going to ask you just to start talking, spread the wisdom, tell us
Oh,
all about
okay.
everything. So, welcome.
Sure. Thank you. When I started my Substack project about a year and a half ago, I was really looking for a way to write through some confusion that I was having about where I wanted my life to go. And I had kind of been just limping along and not really living and not trying to do those things that feed my soul. So I started just trying to write to find the clarity. And I've always found that clarity. So it took a little while to get into my groove again. But once it came back, it was just like I'd never stopped. The process is exactly the same process that it used to be when I was in high school writing my editorials for the high school newspaper.
Okay.
So it was kind of wild to just drop right back into that process when I had shut it down for so long. And I think that was part of the magic of bringing me back because it put me in that headspace And because of the way my process was when I was 16, I started listening to that music too, because I would like play Kajagoogoo, White Feathers, the whole album in the background when I would be writing my stuff. And it started getting me back into that frame of mind of being really inquisitive and listening really deeply to people and paying attention
Yeah.
so I could ask those questions that helped people move the needle on what their story is. And it just kind of it just morphed into something that I just really loved to do. And writing those stories and sharing these little vignettes about growing up and life and love and all of the things. A dear friend that you introduced me to said, "Why don't you write about what you believe?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if anybody would really get it, because what I believe is kind of, I don't know, cribbaged together from bits and pieces of things that I've grown up with, and things that I just feel, that knowing that I think a lot of us on this path have,
Mhm.
that there's something more than the superficial and what most people view as religion or whatever. I think some of us know there's a lot more going on. And I've never been really good with the whole organized religion thing.
Yeah.
I was brought up in Christian church, and I remember being 4 years old, and I was heading back to the Sunday school room where I knew they had the leftover grape juice and crackers from communion, and I was just drinking what was left because I was a kid and I didn't care. And while I'm scarfing down what's left of the communion wafers, I am looking at a snake
Oh.
that is about 3.5 foot long,
Ooh.
and it's just laying up against the wall of the Sunday school room. And I'm like, hmm. So, my 4-year-old brain goes, okay. So I went out I had to sit with my grandpa because I had a tendency to walk around and sing. So I went to the front row and I said, Papa, there's a snake back here. And I remember this is one of the reasons I'm not into organized religion. One of the deacons or elders or whatever they are said, "Now, why are you lying like that?"
uh,
And I looked at him, outraged. I'm like, I don't, I don't lie because I don't. And my grandpa said, "She does a lot of stuff. Lying's not one of them." So he went in there and he brought it out because it had just come in and died.
oh
And it was a
no.
dead snake, but it was like right there. And he took it out and everything. And they were all like, "That's weird that she found it," which tracks because that was the same year that I was so excited that my mom and dad finally got me a magic kit
Mm,
for Christmas. And I was messing with those 3 rings, you know,
yep.
and I got it down to a science.
I never
And
could get
all,
those.
all the family came in for Christmas. And I went tearing over to my grandparents' house, like, "I got a trick. Can I show people?" And they're like, "Yeah, go do it." So, like, all of my grandpa's brothers and sisters had come in with their families. And, I'm so excited to show this because my favorite uncle, his name was Jack, Forester Jack, but Jack is what they called him. And he was really a cool dude. He would bring me squirrel tails and like anything weird off the reservation, like turtle shells. Just he's always bringing me stuff. And I showed him because he was the one I was showing off for. And his wife looked at me and said, "That's witchcraft." And read me the riot act.
Mm.
And I was like, what
Yeah.
are you talking about? And the next Christmas, I got a book of Bible stories from her. And I thought, okay, so not everyone gets it.
Yeah.
And that was my
Yeah.
pretty much the reason I'm not real good with religion.
Yeah. It a lot of times, or at least I know where I was too up there, if you question anything, if you
Mm.
were a female especially,
Oh yeah.
if you had any intuition, it was bad. But then at the same time, you received contradictory ideas of your granny, she knew this, or your mom, your
Mm-hmm.
mother's intuition, or, the
Mm.
Holy Spirit, or, all this stuff. And as a kid, I was the one raising my hand in church, even at 6, 7 years old, going, but that doesn't make sense. You said this, but this is this, and da da da.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always like that. And my preacher, he would just kind of appease me,
Mm-hmm.
go, but he never once told me I was wrong.
That's
He
good.
never did that. But then as I got older, I was in my 20s and I was in a Methodist church in the Lexington area, and
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about angels and how I saw angels, and he goes, "Oh, don't ever say that." I had to tell my wife not to tell people either because that's just not right. And I'm like, it's angels, And so you get all these contradictory ideas, conflicting things
Mm-hmm.
constantly. And I feel like all it does is just make you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm also kind of the same way. The spirituality is the freedom. I've never been good with the mind hive. My dad was always like, they're Scots Irish, of course, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the head of the family no matter who you marry. It's
Right.
the clan thought like that. And I'm like, no, I'll do whatever I want. And I was even bad enough to go, when I was at jobs, I was a little snot. You're not my daddy. I don't have to do what you say. I said that in school all the time. But then
Yeah.
he goes, well, you never do what I say either. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm, it was just one of those things. But I always liked researching. But my thing is I grew up hating Appalachia, hating where I was from, changing my accent because I got bullied when I did move. And because I had the really thick, thick, thick one, I was
Mm-hmm.
embarrassed. But I didn't realize that the coal is my daddy did well, really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's what got me through
Mm-hmm.
college. That got me all the things I love. I was
Right
okay
here.
with that, but I wasn't okay with being called a hillbilly
You're right.
or anything. And now that I have like opened up with spirituality and looking at all the things, the ancient goddesses, all
Yeah.
of my history degree. I even took Appalachian history and Appalachian sociology, trying not, and anthropology and folklore, different ways of trying to approach where I was from. And I hated it. Like I
Yeah.
tried my best to, and I hated it. And it's like now, it's like I wish I'd listened to my grandma more. I
Mm-hmm.
wish I had paid more attention to those little things like
Yeah.
I just heard the other day you're supposed to talk to bees when someone dies. If you
Yeah.
have beehives, you tell them the name of the person that
Absolutely.
died so they don't leave it. I have never heard that, but I can
Yeah.
tell you anything about rattlesnakes. I can, yeah, and copperheads
Mm-hmm.
and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, but you right, your granny's, I keep saying it wrong. How do you pronounce it? Granny's
Grimoire.
Grimoire. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
tell us about that because, like, I get these all the time. You can subscribe to them, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think you said you charge a little bit after a little bit, but I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
Everybody can access it for free for 13 days.
awesome. Okay. And
Yeah.
see, and how much is it after that?
If you want to do a monthly subscription, it's $13. If you wanted to do an annual, it's like 130.
Okay. Is there a reason why you chose the number 13?
Mm-hmm. It's my
Yeah.
favorite number.
Okay. That's the divine feminine number. That
Mm-hmm.
is the I mean, everything about females is 13. That's how come
That's
one of
absolutely true.
one of the reasons why Friday the 13th is not unlucky,
Hmm.
and it's very powerful as that.
Yes.
So, yeah, but I go through here and I'm like, this is just like my Book of Shadows. I mean,
Hmm.
seriously, it's like the
Yeah.
spirit in the soil, and I love how you actually use the words like holler. I mean,
Hmm.
I would have never said that before. I would have been like, and it's still even uncomfortable for me to say it a little bit right now, just because the idea of being uneducated from there, and we both have graduate degrees. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not uneducated,
Absolutely.
and the
Mm-mm.
fact that you're supposed to be, just submissive, and neither one of us are submissive.
Nope.
And
No.
so, yeah, I feel like that
Well,
there's
I think
just this
people they have a
idea.
misconception
Yeah.
about what Appalachia is.
Mm-hmm.
It's um it's a very matriarchal society, way more so than anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to I used to work with a guy that was always saying, you know you're your mama's, but you don't know you're your daddy's. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And he's like, mama's baby, daddy's maybe. So I think it's always been very focused on the strength of the woman, and usually, or at least it's borne out in my family, when the matriarch of a family passes, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I know my.
You don't get those come together things anymore.
Yep. Yep.
And the Grimoire kind of started because our mutual friend Sue
Oh.
asked me to do those, to write about what I believe. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. And it was mostly for her. And I thought I'm just going to do it. And I was telling my mom about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, then you can write all the stories that you've been hearing your whole life." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's true. I
Oh.
could."
Yeah.
So I thought about how I could get those across in a way that would be fun, engaging, um, educational, and special.
Yeah.
And I thought about making it kind of a continual build one after the other. And so I just started writing it out. And the more I wrote about the things that I heard my whole life, it just started pouring out of me. And it would lead me down these different paths of just really remembering all of those people who meant so much to me growing up,
Yeah.
and bringing those stories back was kind of like a full circle, because I had an issue with Appalachia too. I didn't want to be from Kentucky.
Yeah. I tried to
My
get out of
whole
here.
Oh yeah, my
Still
whole
not made it.
goal. Yeah, well, me either. I got all the way to Berea before I came back to where I grew up. But I think I was very, very lucky
Yeah.
in that I had a really good childhood.
Yeah.
I grew up in the middle of the nowhere, and my mom didn't drive until I was in leaving elementary school.
Mhm.
And, my grandparents' house was about 200 feet from the trailer I grew up in,
Yeah.
until my parents, through coal, built a house
Mhm.
that they built on the weekends when my dad didn't work.
That's what
So
exactly.
took 4 years to get to the house, but it was cool. And it's like I had to garden, I had to help with the cows because I was a farmhand because I was there,
Yeah.
and I had to garden. And we had these people that lived around the community. This lady, her name was I only knew her as Miss Hutton, but she was the perfect visual for a granny wise woman. She wore a little thing on her little bonnet on her head, and she had her little dress and her little aprons, and she would walk up to our trailer just to visit.
Yeah.
And she always had some trinket, a piece of butterscotch candy, or she had found an interesting rock. She always brought me something. And I loved her. I thought she was the coolest person in the world.
Yeah.
And I have an example of a cunning man who pretty much, I think, saved my life. Um, when my mother had me, my daddy was working away from home. So she had a hard pregnancy. She was on bed rest for like 3 months. And she had that real intense morning sickness. So when she got me here, she was already wore out. And they about let her die. They about let me die. She was in labor like 36 hours,
Oh
and
gosh.
they finally had to pull me out with the forceps. So it was not a good thing. And you know, she got home, no help, no car, no way to do anything except be there with this kid who decided to scream for, I don't know, 6 weeks.
Oh gosh.
And she was just about ready to throw us both off the side of the hill. And there was a gentleman, his name was Mr. Snyder. He knew about it, and he come up and he had a thing of tea made up, and it was calamus root. And he told my mother, he said, now this is gonna ease her belly. She's got colic. That's what this is. He
Mm.
said, just give her just, barely like a half a teaspoon. He said, and you take you about a tablespoon, and both y'all get some rest. Now he left. My mother gave me a tablespoon,
Oh gosh.
and she drank a cup. And 18 hours later,
Oh my goodness.
she woke up and was, I think, scared
Oh yeah.
to go to the crib. But she
Oh.
said she came over and looked, and I'm just laying there holding my feet, looking around like, okay. He said, and she's like, you never cried again.
Yeah.
And she said he come up to check on me and her like a couple of days later, and he had strung that root into a necklace for me to teethe on. He
Mm-hmm.
said, and when she starts with the belly aching, just let her have it. And mom just put it on my neck, she's keeping it. And she would take me out like to church and all that crap. And people would be like, what is that nasty thing on that baby? And just don't touch it. That is my sanity.
Yep,
So
that is.
yeah. And then I
See,
had asthma,
oh
and
no.
Miss Hutton told them to cut it. I think it's an alder. Pretty sure it's alder. I'll have to look that up. But cut an alder branch just a little taller than me. And when I put it over the door that I went in and out of the most, and when I got taller than that branch, I'd be over it. And I was.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
I love all this stuff, and it's amazing how so much of that you have what you needed around you to survive nature.
Absolutely. Hmm.
There was a lot of losses, like you said.
Yeah.
But then people, it's just the shift from this is the way it was to choosing what is witchcraft.
Yeah.
It's like the cunning man or
Hmm.
the wise granny, but then the granny witch. It's just the different words and the connotations that go with them. When
Well,
or how do you think that those kind of shifted? Was it just for purpose of power and money, or
yeah, absolutely. They call going out in the woods and getting what you need to survive, that's witchcraft. And I think a lot of it's because women are usually the ones that did it.
mm-hmm. Yep,
And then when men take it and put it in a pill, it's medicine.
yep,
It's the same thing.
Well,
Just,
unfortunately, yeah, and it's not even natural anymore. The
no, it
medicine,
isn't.
and we have messed with nature so much that even we've
Mm-hmm.
messed up that. But yeah, and I just always find it funny because like um I grew up with Farmer's Almanac,
Mm-hmm.
but yet astrology is bad.
Yeah.
But yet the three
There's,
magi were
yeah.
astrologers. I know, and it's just kind of funny how things work like that because like I remember that like my grandmother would plant whatever
By
she.
the signs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and see, I was the opposite of you. I would sit and read a book, and I would fight. I did not want to go outside. I did not want to see anybody. I didn't. I mean, I was so mean that they just left me alone. I
Yeah.
don't know what it was. I came out mean. My mom picked me up as a baby, and I'd scream, and she had to put me down.
Yeah.
And I don't. I have no idea what was going on with that, but I would watch,
Mm-hmm.
and I would watch moonshine. I know how to make moonshine too. That's
Mm-hmm.
another thing up there.
Yeah, it
But
is.
uh but the idea of you were talking about the squirrel tails. I
Mm-hmm.
had a squirrel tail until I moved away from there and
Yeah.
everyone's like, that is so gross. But my grandpa gave it to me. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what he ate. Now I never ate squirrel. My mom was kind of weird on some of our food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I love pawpaws.
Mm-hmm.
I love blackberries, and that's where the snakes lived in the blackberry bush. And so
Yep.
I always got in trouble. I still to this day do not like to wear shoes. Um, and but I'm allergic to nature and grass, and I mean it's just I'm such a
Yeah.
contradictory. Just for the whole thing, it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's just so weird. It's like something in my soul, whether it was before or now, fights who I am. And
Yeah.
I get pulled into all of the Appalachian, if you want to call it folk magic or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. And I absolutely love it because, like, ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, there was a little girl in our house, and there
Yeah.
was something that happened. It saved my daddy's life. She did. Literally,
Yeah.
our house caught on fire, and he thought it was me waking him up, but I was at school, and that little girl saved his life.
Yeah.
And just the idea of faith and food and simple things. You were talking about the lady bringing you a piece of butterscotch.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
I hate that now for holidays and stuff. For the kids, they get everything.
Yeah.
I'd rather get nothing and just now. When I was younger, I didn't want to be around any. I was just, but now I so wish that I could just be around and I don't care about the gifts, just actually my
Yeah.
grandmother's buttermilk biscuits.
Yep.
I miss those. Nobody can make those.
Nope.
And her red eye gravy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's just different, but the idea of spirituality there. How do you think it's wrapped up? Have you noticed any of the women who were considered, like the wise grannies, how they
Uh-huh.
were, well, how can I say, how were they accepted or not accepted by organized religion? Did you have any experiences?
Um, for the most part, they were accepted. Um, I think some of them, most of them didn't leave the mountain. You
Yeah.
know, they like growing up, my mom talks about her grandmother just being someone who just did her thing. You know, she had a lot of children.
Mm-hmm.
My mom's dad was the seventh son of a seventh son,
Oh
and
my.
he never saw his father. He had died before, while she was pregnant. So before he was born, his dad had died. So he was the baby, and they lived up in the backwoods. And when he got married, and my grandmother started having children, my mom was the baby, and She went and lived with my grandma. And I think that was my grandma's idea of protecting her because my grandmother had some pretty hardcore issues. And she would get nervous exhaustion, which I
Mhm.
think really was just tired of dealing with my grandpa's crap. And she would check herself into the hospital for a couple of months.
Wow.
So she had a lot going on. And I think getting my mom to her mother in law was a way to keep her out of it.
Yeah.
Because when she would be gone, then my grandpa would bring in another woman to perform the wifely duties, but not necessarily feed the kids. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of that. But she was one of those people that did her thing. You know, she knew to take a cigar string and put it in coal and tie it around her ankles, and she wouldn't get ticks. You know, she knew that she knew which plant needed to be picked. She knew how to make poke salad that wouldn't kill you. She knew stuff,
Yeah.
and she just did her thing. I've never heard my mom say she ever went to church.
Yeah.
Now, my grandpa, he would get religion after his mother would smack him around for not feeding his children. But, it was
Yeah.
never,
Yeah.
it was you know,
Yeah.
starts and stops.
Yeah, it seemed like it was just interwoven in the family of just being a good person and certain
Yeah.
things, or the organized religion that a lot of times I noticed would stir up a lot of things and then it would
Yeah.
calm down and stir up again. But
Yeah.
something I do want to talk about just before we end
Hmm.
is what is something that if someone wanted to know about Appalachia that we see every day, like water witching,
Hmm.
and using dowel rods for water. Military uses those to find different things as well. Is there
Right.
anything that you know that you can share with the listeners about things that they may not know that come from Appalachia? That's spiritual. That's part of life. That's part of,
Hmm.
and to us, it's probably something we see and do every day, and we don't even think about it.
Yeah. Ah, wow. That's a really good question.
Let's think. What about
Yeah.
anything in the kitchen?
Oh, yeah. Tons of kitchen stuff. Like the whole, okay. So something that I think is maybe getting a little more as an upscale thing. I think is the return back to eh, like saving grease. You know, you take your bacon
Yeah.
grease and that's liquid gold. You put that in something, usually a mason jar with a lid, and you set it over by the stove. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's just nasty. If you're feeding a family
Mm-hmm.
and you are using the bacon that came from the hog that you killed, you know exactly where that grease has been, you know where that meat's been. You save that, and then when you're ready to do like soup beans,
Oh yeah.
you throw a couple of tablespoons of that in there, and it's going to take them from being palatable to the best stuff you've ever ate
Oh
in your
yeah.
life.
Yep.
There's that idea of not wasting,
Yeah.
you know? It's a sin to waste
Yeah.
something that you've worked so hard and that you've put love and care and thought into.
Yeah.
Why would you waste that?
Yeah. And
You know?
appreciation, no matter,
Hmm.
appreciation here, appreciation for the people who worked or for it and
Great.
appreciation spiritually. Yeah,
Yeah.
gratitude is a big thing.
Gratitude. Well,
Yeah,
it's like the thing I wrote about ginseng. When you pick ginseng, you return those berries to the earth in the hole you pulled it from.
yeah,
You can't just take and take and take from nature and not give back, because when you do that, she closes up and you'll never find it again.
yeah. Do you feel like we are getting to that point to where we are going to turn around and start going back to the old ways to help us
Oh, yeah.
survive?
I think we'll have to.
Yeah,
I think that more people, or at least they seem to be to me, and it may be just that I'm more on Substack than um, well-known social media.
yeah,
And it may just be that Substack is people who are already seeing that shift and moving that way. But yeah, I think we're going to have to. Prices are ridiculous. Four things at the grocery store is $50, and gas is $4 a gallon. That's
yeah,
insane,
yeah,
you know. And Appalachia is thrifty.
yeah. I know. I mean, if you want to survive and know how to survive, that's the
Yeah.
perfect place to be. You're not going to starve to death. And
No.
I'm all about taking care of animals and everything
Hmm.
else, but taking animals and showing gratitude and using them for the food and using all of them, not
All
just
of them,
yes,
not just
just
bits and
or
pieces.
just to put a picture of its head up on the wall or something. And
Hmm.
and you're giving
What's the
gratitude and thank
point?
for that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I feel like that is what's going to save us. Now,
Hmm.
I love technology. I'm probably,
Hmm.
I,
I do too.
I am such I have such a back and forth with everything, but I think
Yeah.
that keeps me from being complacent. I'm aware of everything.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's really hard for me when it comes to cold because that's what got me through college. That's what got me
Yeah.
where I am
Same.
today. But I absolutely
100%.
hate the fact that the coal miners, they suffer. Daddy, grandpa, black lung, cancer,
Same.
both of them
Yeah.
got them.
My dad too.
And then the
Yeah.
kids that are up there now doing the same thing for less money and putting
Yeah.
themselves even at more risk. And you would think, because I
Yes.
played around in those coal mines growing up. And that's
Same.
one of the things. I grew up on the other side of the mountain from Hellier. And if you've seen that documentary, yeah, there were little goblins everywhere where we
Yeah.
were at. And people are
Oh,
like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I thought Bigfoot was just a thing that was normal. And the goblins
yeah.
were, I never think anything about them.
Yeah. It
And
never. Yeah.
yeah,
Just
it's
like,
not like an anomaly. And
mm-mm.
I remember seeing bobcats and
Yep.
all the things and
Yeah.
bears in our backyard, and you just
Yeah.
didn't mess with them. They just
We
walked
left them
through,
alone
and they
because we
walked.
had a respect for it.
Yeah, and I think that that's the difference.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think we're really shifting back to that. But
well, people are hungry for it.
I know, I
They
know.
don't respect themselves. They don't respect the people around them. They're looking for meaning.
Yeah,
And I think that, I mean, I wanted to get away, but I think when it came right down to it, I was happy growing up like that.
yeah,
I, those people that I write about now, I love them so much. And this is kind of a way that I can make sure they're never forgotten,
yeah,
you know? I mean, people get all in their feelings about,
yeah,
what happens when we die, or just
yeah,
not really knowing what to do with death anyway.
yeah,
Death used to be part of life.
yeah,
You knew things were going to happen, you accepted it. It was the natural way.
yeah.
And when we took care of our dead and dying at home, and they were buried in a
Hmm.
family cemetery near the home
That's where
place,
my daddy is. Yeah.
yeah, you just have a much clearer understanding of who you are and where you're from.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that that family cemetery, I have one aunt left out of
Mhm.
seven, um, and out of all like 40 some grandkids, I think there's one grandkid and one great grandkid that lives up there, and they take care of it. And when they're
Yeah.
gone,
That's it.
That's it. And on my daddy's side, it was my grandfather, my grandmother, my dad, and his sister. They're all dead. There's me and my son, and my brother and his son, and neither one of them are having children
Yeah.
and probably never will. And our line is gone. And,
Same.
Barney is a big thing in Eastern Kentucky, and
Yes, it
Harris
is.
is a big Irish one, and, or Scots Irish. And, yeah, it's really sad because I just went up there for a funeral. My first cousin died of a heart attack. I mean, her
Yeah.
kids died before her. I mean, the health. You
Yeah.
talk about taking care of nature. It's even the health of the people there are really bad, and I feel like if we
Yeah.
could just get back to nature a little bit, even though I'm not the most nature person in the world, but even small things like that.
Yeah.
It's just,
Every little bit helps.
yeah,
It
yeah,
really does. And you don't have to like say, this is what I'm going to do and go crazy with it. You
yeah,
can start just by, planting a kitchen garden.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Well,
my great grandmother on my dad's side, she was a McHarg, and they're big in this area. She had an eggplant right by the door. And, when it was really producing, that's what they had for breakfast.
yeah.
She would get the eggplant right outside the door, chop it up, fry it, done, you know.
Okay, so okay, almost all of us have one or the other, Hatfield or
Mhm.
McCoy.
Oh, Hatfield.
I have both, yeah.
Do you?
But Hatfield is
Cool.
who I know the most. Way,
Yeah.
way, way back.
Way
And it's
back.
my
Yeah. It's like,
cousin who did all the genealogy stuff. Because again, I'm
yeah,
I'm not good with that stuff. Now I
no, me
have a whole
either.
closet full of pictures. I don't know what's going to
Love to see
happen.
them.
Oh yeah, I mean they're boxes of just, and they're from the 1800s and early
Historical
19.
Society, donate them.
What is that?
There should be probably uh, look where you're ask your cousins if there's like a
Oh,
historical society there
yeah,
that, or
for
just there
cocktails.
should be something in.
Well,
There's got to be some kind of preservation, heritage, cultural preservation thing in Kentucky. You could donate those to.
okay. I will definitely look into that because
Yeah,
I
I'll
don't
look
talk
too.
to any of my family. Most all of them are gone.
Yeah,
And the few second cousins and third cousins, they've all moved to New York or Chicago. I mean, and it's
doesn't
just like
the
everybody's moved.
local schools, the college system. I mean, like I know Union College in Barberville has like a historical archive where people have donated things.
I'll have to look at U Pike then,
Yeah,
University of Pikeville, and see.
I bet you they've got one. That's where
Probably,
that way you could have them and they'll preserve them.
yeah. It's trying to figure out all the people. That's the
Yeah,
thing. It's like I
yeah,
don't know. But
yeah,
okay, so before closing, I
yeah.
do want to thank you for doing this.
Well,
But
thank you.
um, what what do you want to If there's one last thing you want to tell everyone about what you do,
Mm.
some of your wonderful wisdom that you have,
Uh,
is there anything that you want to share before we leave?
I would just say the best thing you can do in this world is to keep an open mind, listen more than you talk, and stay magical.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much. And I'm going to post your links down in the show
Okay,
notes. And when I do a
great.
blog next week on Substack, I will connect it to you as well. But,
Cool.
and everything. Hopefully, we'll get you some more followers and vice
I
versa.
love it.
But
Thank you.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.
As we begin to close our time together, I want to thank you for spending this sacred moment with me here at the Spiritual Sanctuary. If today's episode resonated with you, I invite you to leave a comment or share this episode with someone who may need a little sanctuary of their own. As a thank you, everyone who comments or shares is entered into a drawing from our sponsor, Cosmic Connections, And it's a beautiful way to keep the magic flowing beyond time and space. And if you're longing for deeper connection, more guidance, and updates on both our online and impersonal spiritual sanctuary gatherings, I invite you to stay in touch with me by signing up with my newsletter at bertina.org. That's BERTENA.org, where I share upcoming events, rituals, reflections, and offerings created just for this community. Until we meet again, please be gentle with yourself, trust your inner knowing, and remember, this sanctuary lives within you. Thank you for being here.